From 6 Mile in Livernois, this is your Daily Detroit, recorded on Tuesday, August 21st. I'm Jer.
I'm Sven.
Here's what to know and where to go around Metro Detroit. Just a quick heads up, our first two stories are a bit on the heavy side today.
First, a word from our sponsors.
Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by Digital Summit Detroit, happening September 12th and 13th at Cobo Center, with 55 in-depth sessions on content, SEO, email, emerging tech, and more. Visit digitalsummitdetroit.com for more information and save $50 with code DD50.
It's been a tough year for Detroit police and first responders. There have been 3 deaths on the police force in the line of duty in 2018 and numerous incidents off duty. Yesterday was the funeral for 30-year-old Fadi Shakur. He died after being hit by a vehicle. This morning, a 29-year-old Detroit firefighter, Jack Wiley, was found shot to death in his home on Detroit's west side. As of this recording, word comes that an off-duty Detroit police officer has shot herself in the arm today near Chicago and the Southfield Freeway. She's listed in temporary serious condition.
There's been an uptick in hit and runs in Metro Detroit, with 4 in the last month. The latest victim was 23-year-old Michael Sox Kavanaugh while leaving the Motor City Muscle Festival last weekend in downtown Detroit. The driver later turned himself in. Our region, with little mass transit and our car-focused street designs, consistently ranks among the most dangerous for pedestrians in the nation. Michigan also has the highest car insurance rates in the country. These two factors add up for conditions that make hit and runs more likely, and some experts believe a chief motivation is the lack of insurance by the driver. Although Michigan drivers are required by law to have car insurance, as many as half of Detroit motorists are doing what's called driving dirty, or driving with no insurance. A word of warning, if you leave the scene of an accident, it could mean 15 years in jail.
The new Mike Ilitch School of Business is set to open on Woodward Avenue. Wayne State University and Olympia Development hosted a tour of the building today. Curb Detroit has some great photos. The business school is the second major building in the Ilitch's District Detroit mixed-use neighborhood, and it was funded in large part by a $40 million gift from Mike and Marion Ilitch. It features a finance lab, sticky space coves for students to hang out in, a courtyard, and a 4th-floor terrace. It'll also feature an outpost of Avalon Bakery. Faculty and staff started moving in earlier this summer. Classes begin August 29th.
You know, Avalon is seeming to be everywhere, but if there's one brand that I don't necessarily mind having a bunch around, it's Avalon.
But so this is like we figured out 4 retail outlets.
Grand Boulevard.
Yeah.
Downtown Woodward by the new Hudson site.
This new School of Business.
The new School of Business.
And then the original on Willis.
Exactly. So here's the pro tip. On Fridays, they've got great deals on bread and leftovers at their East Side Bakehouse location. So if you want to do that, I think it's on Buffet. Go check that out. You can get like a bag of bread for like $5.
Loves me some Avalon.
Wayne State University is opening part of its new Anthony Wayne Drive apartments on Saturday to new residents. The 11-story, 407-bed building is the first phase of the $111 million housing complex, the university's largest and priciest to date. The other 2 connected buildings are still under construction and are expected to open in June of 2019. Once completed, the complex will have 841 beds, with rents averaging about $1,100 per month for a single room in a 4-bedroom apartment and $1,500 for a 1-bedroom unit. Cranes reports that Wayne State's on-campus housing is fully occupied, with demand outstripping supply. Last fall, about 3,100 undergraduate and grad students lived on campus out of 27,000 total enrolled students.
Speaking of pricey housing, rising rent prices and the coming expiration of federal tax credits meant to subsidize affordable housing are raising concerns about the fate of many of Detroit's low-income residents. Bridge magazine reports that tax credits for some 7,000 apartments and homes are set to end by 2022. When they expire, owners can apply to stop setting aside units for low-income residents. Many of the subsidized units are in neighborhoods like Midtown or Corktown that are highly sought after. That's leading many to fear that low-income people will be forced out so the developers can charge higher rents. The tax credits reduce federal income taxes for developers to offset the fact that there's little or no profit in developing low-income housing. Researchers at the University of Michigan say the city could use 21,000 more affordable rental housing units for households making less than $20,000 a year. The city of Detroit is raising $250 million from foundations, federal grants, and other sources over the next 5 years to try and save 10,000 units and create 2,000 more. Officials tell Bridge they're trying to help low-income people who stayed in the city during hard times.
Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by Milo Digital. Milo Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that engineers quality results through data and innovative strategies. Learn more at milodetroit.com.
Every picture on that wall, that person had been in the Lindell.
Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield,
Tommy Hearn, Bobby Lane.
Ted Lindsay, Johnny Wilson.
Sonny Elliott probably knew everything that went on there.
The Beatles were there.
Fans of Detroit watering holes of yore, take note. A documentary about the legendary Lindell AC Sports Bar makes its TV debut Thursday night on Detroit Public Television. It's called Meet Me at the Lindell, the story of America's first sports bar. The 44-minute documentary from director Jason Danilowitz first screened in 2017 at the Freep Film Festival. The Lindell AC was famous for many reasons, including for being a place where professional athletes showed up and mingled with common folk, something that's virtually unheard of in today's big money sports era. Greek immigrant Meliti Boutsikaris and his sons, Johnny and Jimmy, purchased the bar in 1949 when it was part of a seedy hotel called the Lindell. Legend has it that New York Yankees infielder Billy Martin suggested they adopt a sports theme using framed photographs of athletes and donated game mementos. The bar quickly became a favorite gathering place for local and visiting athletes from all 4 professional sports leagues, and for journalists. It relocated just down the street in 1963 and became the Lindell AC, short for Athletic Club, in a nod to the much tonier Detroit Athletic Club across town. The list of famous names who drank in the bar is a long one. It includes Martin, who fought his own player in the alley behind the bar, Gordie Howe, Al Kaline, Andre the Giant, Mickey Mantle, and Sonny Elliott. And in a famous photograph, an actual elephant. The Lindell AC closed shop in 2002, a victim of plans for the Rosa Parks Transit Center. Meet Me at the Lindell airs Thursday at 9 p.m. on DPTV. Jerry, you ever go to the Lindell AC?
A couple of times. Its end days were near the beginning of my drinking days, so I got a couple of times
legal
in there.
Drinking age?
My legal drinking days. But I did wear my drinking coat a couple of times in that legendary place, and I'm glad to have stopped through. It was I understood the magic back then, not as much as I do now, but what a special place.
Yeah, absolutely. The dropped ceilings and just kind of musty, like stale beer odor just pervaded the place. I mean, I'm with you. I visited in the late in its run. I only moved to the Detroit area right around that time in 2000, so didn't get to experience it a lot. But you could just tell walking into the place that it had tons of history.
I wonder if there's something about that whole Times Square kind of area, because the Detroit Times was based just, I think, the same block or half a block away from there. And in that building, it was not unheard of for reporters to bring horses into the newsroom, like up the freight elevator and stuff. So I wonder, with the elevator and the horses, like, is that whole thing like got its own kind of like weird thing happening underground or something?
It's like Detroit's Noah's Ark or something. Anyway, I'm definitely tuning in. Detroit Public Television. I'm breaking out the rabbit ears tomorrow at 9 p.m.
Detroit Vegan Soul's fish-free catfish platter has been named one of PETA's top 10 vegan seafood dishes in the country. The list is made up of dishes that, quote, prove you can enjoy the taste of seafood while sparing intelligent, sensitive fish who can use tools and show affection, immense pain, end quote. The dish has cornmeal-battered tofu that is served with a medley of broccoli and corn, red-skin potatoes, and hush puppies. Some of the other dishes on the list include the mock eel and tofu at the Grange in Providence, Rhode Island, and the vegan crab cakes at the Land of Kush in Baltimore. Detroit Vegan Soul, with 2 locations in the city, one in West Village and one in Grandmont Rosedale, was named one of PETA's best places to get vegan soul food back in 2016.
See, that vegan catfish sounds good, but I don't know why they even have to call it catfish. It's when you start talking about vegan fish, then things get really weird. And remind listeners, we just tried the vegan coney dogs last week. A 12-year-old Detroit girl is in intensive care due to severe burns on half of her body. On Friday, Tamaya Landers and 2 of her friends attempted to do the popular fire challenge that they'd seen on YouTube, according to Fox 2 Detroit. The fire challenge consists of filming someone while you pour rubbing alcohol on their body and then lighting it on fire before rushing to a bathtub to extinguish it. Sounds like a terrible idea. Her mother heard the small explosion from her bedroom and saw her daughter running up the hallway on fire. That's when her mother's fiancé put Landers in the shower to try to put out the fire. Landers was taken to the emergency room for her burns. She'll need multiple surgeries and is expected to be in the hospital for the next few months. It should go without saying that these challenges are extremely dangerous and very inadvisable.
Detroit barbers in Corktown will be celebrating National Dog Day this Sunday by hosting bulldogs, brews, and beards. The event aims to raise money for the Detroit Bulldog Rescue. The family-friendly event will have a bulldog kissing booth, coffee from Lucky Detroit, and a bulldog pampering station. They will also be raising money by donating the proceeds from all beard trims that day. Volunteers from Detroit Bulldog Rescue will be on hand to answer any questions about adopting or fostering a bulldog. The event takes place from noon until 2 p.m. Detroit Barbers is over in Corktown at 2000 Michigan Avenue.
And that'll do it for today's show. I'm Sven Gustafson. Thank you so much for listening to the Daily Detroit podcast. A quick shout out to the Detroit Clothing Circle for their advertisement of the North Cass Sidewalk Sale, which takes place August 25th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The advertisement is a rather suggestive, penetrating piece of work, Jer.
We'll link to it in the show notes. It's not for the kiddos. And I'm Jeremiah Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.